Time is one of the most valuable resources we have. Once it's gone, we can't get it back. Yet, so many of us waste it, often without realizing how much we're squandering. You can always earn more money, gain more knowledge, and build new relationships, but you can never earn back a wasted minute. That's why the first thing you need to do if you want to achieve success is to stop wasting time on things that don't matter. In today's fast-paced world, distractions are everywhere. The constant ping of your phone, the never-ending stream of social media posts, the distractions in the workplace, your life, the meetings that go on longer than needed. All of these things pull your attention away from what truly matters. We've all been there, spending hours scrolling through our feeds, watching the latest viral videos, or getting stuck in unproductive meetings that add no value to our goals. This kind of time wasting is insidious because it doesn't feel like it's harming anything in the moment, but over time, it adds up, and you're left wondering why you haven't made the progress you expected. When you focus on trivial distractions, you divert your energy from the tasks that are truly important, the tasks that will bring you closer to your personal and professional goals. Every time you let yourself get caught up in the noise of the world, you're giving away your potential. Success doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being intentional with your time. This is where focus becomes crucial. When you prioritize your time, you have a creative framework that allows you to focus on what matters most to your growth and success. The key to doing this is understanding the difference between tasks that are urgent and those that are important. Urgent tasks often scream for attention. An email you need to respond to, a text you need to reply to, or a problem that seems to require immediate action. But urgency doesn't always equate to importance. Think about the long-term vision for your life. What are the things you need to do consistently to reach that vision? These are the important tasks, and they are the ones that deserve your focus. If you spend all your time putting out fires and responding to the urgency of the moment, you'll never have the mental or physical energy to work on the things that truly drive your success. The secret to success isn't in doing more, it's in doing the right things at the right time. This means setting clear goals, creating a plan, and then saying no to anything that doesn't align with that plan. By saying no to distractions and things that don't matter, you're making space for the activities that will bring you closer to your purpose. Take a moment to look at your calendar. How much time is spent on things that don't contribute to your growth? How many hours do you waste every week scrolling through social media or attending meetings that could have been avoided? These might seem harmless, but collectively, they add up to a lot of wasted time over the course of a month or year. Now, imagine how much you could accomplish if you redirected that time towards your goals. This isn't about cutting out everything fun or social in your life, of course. It's about creating boundaries so that you're spending time in ways that move you forward. It's about understanding that time is finite and how you use it determines the trajectory of your success. You have to make choices. Every moment you choose to spend on something that doesn't serve your goals is a moment you can't get back. Start by identifying your biggest distractions. What are the things that keep you from focusing on what matters? It could be checking your email every 5 minutes, answering calls that don't require your attention, or spending hours binge watching shows. Once you identify these distractions, you can start to put systems in place to limit them. Maybe that means setting aside specific times of day to check your email or scheduling no meeting. Blocks in your calendar to ensure you can focus on deep, important work. Another critical piece of this puzzle is recognizing that not all busy work is productive work. It's easy to feel accomplished when you cross off tasks from your to-do list, but how many of those tasks are truly moving you forward? The goal isn't just to stay busy, but to stay productive. Productivity is about focusing on tasks that push you closer to your ultimate vision, not just filling your day with activity. You also need to be aware of how you spend your free time. Everyone needs downtime, but it's essential that your downtime serves you. Recharging is important, but so is investing in activities that align with your personal growth. You're reading a book that expands your knowledge, exercising to maintain your health, or spending quality time with loved ones. These are all valuable uses of your time that contribute to your overall success. The biggest shift you can make is simply being mindful of how you use your time every single day. This level of awareness will help you identify where your time is going and if it's really serving you. You have a screwed up life. When you eliminate the unnecessary distraction, focus on what matters, you'll find that you have more energy and clarity to put into the areas that will create real, lasting success. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of deliberate choices and actions. If you want to achieve your goals, you must take responsibility for how you use your time. Stop allowing distractions to steal your focus and stop putting off the important work that will move you toward your vision. The time to start is now. The more intentional you are with your time, the more successful you'll become. The mind is a powerful thing. It can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy, depending on how you manage it. One of the most insidious forces that can hold you back from success is negative self-talk. It's that voice inside your head that constantly tells you that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, or that you're bound to fail. Over time, this negative dialogue becomes an internal narrative that influences your behavior, your decisions, and your actions. If you want to achieve success, you must stop listening to that voice and start rewiring your thoughts toward positivity and self-belief. Negative self-talk can take many forms. It might manifest as doubt about your abilities, fear of failure, or constant comparisons to others. It could also be the internal narrative that tells you to play it safe, avoid taking risks, or keep your ideas to yourself because they aren't good enough. This inner critic often gets louder when you're facing challenges or stepping outside of your comfort zone, making it even harder to move forward. However, the reality is that this voice isn't always accurate. It's not a reflection of who you truly are, your potential. It's just a habit, one that you have the power to change. The problem with negative self-talk is that it creates a cycle of self-doubt and fear. When you tell yourself that you can't do something, your brain starts to believe it. It feeds into your insecurities and limits your potential. Instead of taking action toward your goals, you would hold back, second guess yourself, and in many cases, avoid the very opportunities that could lead to success. This fear of failure becomes paralyzing, and as a result, you stay stuck in a loop of underachievement, never reaching your true potential. One of the first steps in overcoming negative self-talk is recognizing that it's happening. We are often so used to the constant flow of negative thoughts that we don't even realize we're feeding into them. The key is to become aware of these thoughts the moment they arise. You have a screwed up life, whether it's an automatic judgment about yourself or a fear-based thought that limits your actions. Acknowledging that you're having these thoughts is the first step to regaining control. Once you become aware of negative self-talk, the next step is to challenge it. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Often you'll find that the things you're telling yourself are exaggerated, irrational, or just plain untrue. For example, when you tell yourself you'll never succeed, consider the times in your life when you've overcome obstacles, learned new skills, or achieved something meaningful. Those are the experiences you need to remind yourself when the voice of doubt tries to take over. Instead of accepting the negative thought as fact, actively to replace it with a more empowering one. If you think, I'll never be successful, replace that thought with, I have the skills and drive to succeed, and I'm willing to work hard to make it happen. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, flip that thought to, I am worthy, and I have everything I need to achieve my goals. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is perfect, but rather shifting the focus from self-criticism to self-empowerment. It's important to understand that this process takes time. Changing the way you think is not an overnight transformation. It's a practice. Every time you catch yourself thinking negatively and consciously replace it with something more positive, you strengthen your ability to rewire your thoughts. Over time, this new way of thinking becomes more natural and the voice of self-doubt becomes quieter. Another crucial aspect of overcoming negative self-talk is surrounding yourself with positive influences. The people you interact with on a daily basis have a powerful impact on your mindset. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, whether it's from friends, family, colleagues, or even the media, it becomes much harder to maintain a positive outlook. Negative people reinforce the doubts and fears you already have, making it difficult to break free from the cycle of self-sabotage. On the other hand, positive, supportive people can act as a mirror, reflecting back to you your strengths and capabilities. They help remind you of your worth and encourage you when you feel down. If you find that your environment is filled with negativity, it might be time to distance yourself from those influences and seek out relationships that nurture your growth and confidence. Another effective way to combat negative self-talk is to practice gratitude. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you shift your attention away from what you lack and toward the abundance that already exists in your life. Gratitude helps you to cultivate a more positive mindset, making it easier to recognize your achievements, strengths, and progress. Instead of getting caught up in what you haven't done or what you're afraid you can't do, gratitude allows you to celebrate what you've already accomplished and build on that momentum. Lastly, remember that setbacks and failures are not reflections of your worth. They are opportunities for growth. Negative self-talk often intensifies after a failure, as you start to believe that it's a sign of your inadequacy. However, failure is simply a stepping stone on the path to success. It's through failure that we learn the most about ourselves and how to improve. Embracing failure with a mindset of growth and learning rather than self-criticism will help you silence the negative thoughts and continue moving forward. By stopping the cycle of negative self-talk, you open yourself up to a world of possibility. You stop holding yourself back and start embracing your full potential. The voice of doubt will always be there, but you don't have to listen to it. Instead, you can choose to replace it with the voice of empowerment, self-belief, and optimism. When you do, success will no longer feel out of reach. It will feel like the natural result of your thoughts, your actions, and your unwavering belief in yourself. Fear is a natural, primal response to perceived threats. It's an instinct built into all of us to keep us safe. But when fear starts to control our actions, it becomes a barrier to success. Fear is often the single greatest thing standing between us and our dreams. It's that voice in your head telling you that you're not ready, that you're going to fail, or that taking action will only lead to disappointment. The problem with fear is not that it exists. It's that many of us allow it to dictate our choices and paralyze our potential. Fear of failure is one of the most common and insidious fears we face. When we're afraid of failing, we hesitate to take risks or try new things. We begin to play it safe, sticking to what we know, because the thought of failing feels like a personal defeat. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of the journey. Every successful person has experienced failure, and in fact, many of them credit their failures as being some of their greatest learning experiences. When you let the fear of failure dominate your life, you essentially place limits on what you're capable of achieving. The fear keeps you in your comfort zone, making it harder to pursue big goals or to take the necessary risks that lead to personal and professional growth. This mindset can create a vicious cycling. You fear failure, so you don't take action, and then you miss out on opportunities, which reinforces the belief that failure is inevitable. What's important to realize is that fear doesn't go away on its own. It's a constant companion in the pursuit of success. You can't wait for fear to magically disappear before you act. You have to face it head on and move forward anyway. The most successful individuals are not those who are free of fear. They are the ones who learn how to move through fear without letting it control them. One of the first steps in overcoming fear is to acknowledge it. Denying fear doesn't make it go away. In fact, it often amplifies it. Instead, when you feel afraid, take a moment to identify what it is that you're afraid of. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? More often than not, the worst case scenario is not as catastrophic as your mind initially suggests. By putting your fear into perspective, you take away its power. It's also important to recognize that fear is often rooted in the unknown. We fear what we don't understand, and that uncertainty can be paralyzing. When you're about to take on a new challenge, whether it's starting a new project, speaking in front of a group, or launching a business, your mind fills with questions and doubts. Will people like it? What if it fails? Will I be judged? But the reality is that the only way to truly understand what lies beyond that fear is to take the leap. It's in those moments of uncertainty that growth happens. Taking action, even if it's small, is the antidote to fear. Every step you take toward your goal, no matter how minor, builds your confidence and diminishes the hold that fear has on you. If you're afraid of public speaking, start by speaking in front of a mirror, then practice in front of a small group of friends, and eventually you'll gain the courage to speak in front of a larger audience. Each time you push past your fear, you prove to yourself that you are capable, and with each success, you begin to silence the voice of doubt that fear brings. The key is to take imperfect action. Many people wait until they feel completely ready, until everything is perfect. But perfection is a trap, and waiting for the perfect moment often leads to procrastination. The most successful people are not waiting for everything to align perfectly before they act. They're taking action and learning as they go. It's through taking action that you gain experience. Learn from your mistakes and build resilience. Every failure becomes a lesson, and every lesson takes you one step closer to success. Fear can also stem from the fear of judgment. We worry about what others will think of us, whether we'll be criticized or rejected. This fear of judgment can be paralyzing and prevent us from sharing our ideas, putting ourselves out there, or pursuing what truly matters to us. However, the truth is that most people are too focused on their own lives to judge you harshly. And even if you do face criticism, it doesn't define your worth or abilities. Criticism is often a reflection of someone else's perspective, not a reflection of your abilities or potential. Another crucial aspect of overcoming fear is to understand that fear often disguises itself as logical thinking. It's easy to rationalize an action by telling yourself you're being practical or realistic. But these thoughts are usually just another form of fear in disguise. Instead of letting your mind talk you out of taking action, ask yourself, what's more dangerous? Taking this step toward my goal, or staying in my comfort zone and regretting it later? The fear of regret can often be a more powerful motivator than the fear of failure. Lastly, remember that fear is not permanent. It's an emotional response that can be managed. The more you face your fears, the more you realize that fear has no real power unless you give it power. It's a feeling, and like all feelings, it can come and go. It's your response to fear that defines whether it will hold you back or propel you forward. When you start embracing fear as a natural part of the process, you begin to see it as a signal that you are growing, that you are stepping into new and exciting territory. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to control you. When you stop letting fear take your decisions, you open up a world of possibilities. Instead of staying stuck in doubt, you move forward with confidence. Instead of playing small, you start taking bold steps toward your goals. When you face fear with courage and action, you start realizing that the things you were once afraid of are often the very things that lead to your greatest achievements. In a world that often celebrates flawless achievements and perfect outcomes, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking perfection in everything you do. We're taught to aim high, do our best, and deliver results that meet the highest standards. While striving for excellence can be a powerful motivator, the relentless pursuit of perfection can be paralyzing and ultimately counterproductive. Perfection is an illusion, a moving target that, no matter how hard we chase it, we can never truly reach. If you want to succeed, it's crucial to stop seeking perfection and start focusing on progress, action, and learning from experiences. Perfectionism often disguises itself as a virtue. We're told if we don't do something perfectly, we failed. This mindset can lead to frustration and self-doubt. When we're constantly chasing perfection, we're also constantly measuring ourselves against an unrealistic standard. The fear of not being perfect prevents us from taking risks, making decisions, or even starting projects. We get caught in analysis paralysis, waiting for the right moment or the perfect plan before we take any action. But waiting for perfection can hold us back for months, even years. In the time we spend waiting for things to be just right, we miss out on valuable opportunities for growth and development. One of the biggest drawbacks of perfectionism is that it can make us afraid of failure. We believe that anything less than perfect is a sign of incompetence or inadequacy. This fear of failure prevents us from trying new things or stepping out of our comfort zone. But failure is a natural part of success. It's through failure that we learn, grow, and ultimately improve. No one succeeds without failing along the way. The most successful people in the world didn't achieve their success by being perfect. They succeeded by learning from their mistakes, iterating on their ideas, and continuously improving. When we seek perfection, we also tend to avoid vulnerability. Perfection requires control, and the more we seek control, the less we're willing to put ourselves out there in ways that feel uncertain or imperfect. Yet vulnerability is essential for growth. The more willing we are to embrace our imperfections, The more we open ourselves up to new opportunities, creative breakthroughs, and personal development. By accepting that we're not perfect and embracing the learning process, we free ourselves from the pressure of having everything figured out from the start. Perfectionism often manifests as procrastination. Screwed up life, we delay taking action because we're afraid that the outcome won't be flawless. We hold ourselves to an impossible standard, telling ourselves that we'll start working when the timing is perfect, or when we have all the information, or when we feel completely prepared. However, this mindset leads to inaction and missed opportunities. The truth is that perfect conditions rarely exist. Life is unpredictable, and waiting for everything to align perfectly can mean waiting forever. Progress happens when you take imperfect action, not when you wait for the stars to align. The key to overcoming perfectionism is to shift your focus from an unattainable standard to a more practical approach progress over perfection. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward achieving your goals. Each mistake or failure is an opportunity to learn and improve. By focusing on progress, you have to free yourself from the crushing weight of perfection and allow yourself the space to grow. It's important to remember that no one becomes successful by doing everything perfectly. The most successful people are often the ones who take action, make mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving forward. Another important aspect of letting go of perfectionism is embracing imperfection as a part of the creative process. Creativity thrives when you're willing to take risks and experiment. When you seek perfection, you stifle your creativity because you're too focused on the end result. But true innovation happens when we let go of rigid expectations and allow ourselves to make mistakes, adjust and adapt. Whether you're working on a project, developing a product, or pursuing a personal goal, you're embracing imperfection, open to new ideas and solutions that you may not have discovered if you were solely focused on getting everything right. One way to begin embracing imperfection is to set realistic goals and deadlines for yourself. Rather than aiming for perfection, set goals that are challenging but attainable. Break larger tasks into smaller, manageable steps. This approach allows you to make steady progress while reducing the pressure of perfection. By working in stages and accepting that the first draft, prototype, or version of something doesn't have to be flawless, you create room for improvement and refinement. The more iterations you make, the better your results will become. Another helpful strategy is to reframe how you view mistakes. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, view them as learning opportunities. Every mistake is a lesson in disguise, teaching you what works and what doesn't. When you embrace this mindset, you shift from fearing mistakes to welcoming them as a natural part of the process. This shift allows you to take action with more confidence and less fear of failure. Over time, you'll find that the more you embrace imperfection, the more comfortable you become with stepping into new challenges and opportunities. The impact of perfectionism isn't limited to just your work or goals. It can also affect your relationships and well-being. When you hold yourself to impossibly high standards, you can become overly self-critical and stressed. This self-criticism often extends to others as well, leading to unrealistic expectations in your relationships and causing tension or disappointment. By accepting that you and those around you are imperfect, you create space for growth, collaboration, and understanding. Perfectionists can also lead to burnout. The constant pressure to be perfect drains your energy and creativity, leaving you feeling exhausted and unmotivated. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you open yourself up to a more sustainable approach to success. You can work toward your goals with less stress, more creativity, and a healthier perspective. Success doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence, resilience, and a willingness to keep moving forward, even when things aren't perfect. When you stop seeking perfection, you create the space to embrace the process, to learn from your experiences, and to continually improve. By focusing on progress rather than perfection, you free yourself from the limiting belief that everything must be flawless, allowing you to take action, learn, and grow with confidence. We all have dreams, aspirations, and goals that we want to achieve. Yet, many people often unconsciously hold themselves back from truly going after what they want. They play small. They shrink themselves down to fit into safe, comfortable spaces because they're afraid of failure, rejection, or not being good enough. Playing small often feels like the easier option. It's familiar, secure, and doesn't demand much risk. But when you choose to play small, you deny your chance to fully realize your potential. Success, growth, and fulfillment can only come when you decide to step up, take risks, and challenge yourself to rise to the occasion. One of the most common reasons people play small is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what others might think, and fear of not good enough can all keep you stuck in a place where you feel safe but unfulfilled. It's easy to tell yourself that you're not ready for the big opportunities or that you don't deserve them. These thoughts can be paralyzing, making it difficult to take action or pursue your dreams. However, the truth is that playing small doesn't protect you from failure. It only limits your ability to succeed. The bigger you allow yourself to dream and act, the more you open yourself up to opportunities, growth, and the potential for greatness. When you play small, you keep your potential locked up inside. You don't allow yourself to try new things, take risks, or explore opportunities that could lead to extraordinary results. Often, this happens because you're afraid of making mistakes. The fear of failing can create an internal barrier that prevents you from beyond your comfort zone. But failure is not the enemy. It's part of the process. Every successful person has encountered failure at some point. The key is not to fear it, but to learn from it and use it as fuel to keep going. Playing small is like holding yourself back from an adventure before you even started. It stops you from learning, growing, and discovering your true capabilities. Another reason people play small is because of self-doubt. Many of us underestimate our abilities and believe we're not worthy of success. This lack of self-belief often stems from past experiences or negative programming from society, family, or even ourselves. If you've ever told yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "Who am I to pursue something this big?" You're playing small. These beliefs are rooted in insecurity and fear of stepping into your full potential. However, every single person has the ability to make a meaningful impact, and this includes you. When you start to believe in yourself and your abilities, you stop playing small and start taking action toward your goals with confidence and determination. Playing small also stems from the desire to stay in your comfort zone. It's human nature to gravitate toward what feels safe and familiar. The problem is, growth never happens in the comfort zone. If you want to achieve something significant, you have to be willing to step outside of it. You have to face uncertainty, take risks, and embrace the discomfort that comes with pursuing big goals. Playing small keeps you stuck in your current reality. You're unable to break free and reach for what's truly possible. The greatest rewards in life come from stepping into the unknown and taking on challenges that push you to grow and evolve. To stop playing small, you must first acknowledge that you are capable of more than you think. Your potential is not limited by your past, your mistakes, or your fears. It's determined by your willingness to take bold actions, face challenges, and step into the person you're meant to become. Often, the thing holding you back is not the opportunities in front of you, but your own limiting beliefs. You have to shift your mindset and recognize that you are worthy of success, happiness, and all the possibilities that life has to offer. When you stop playing small, you begin to see the world differently. You begin to recognize opportunities that you might have overlooked before. You start to realize that there is no one-size-fits-all definition of success. Your path to success may look different from others, but it is no less valuable. The world needs people who are willing to take risks, make mistakes, and push the boundaries of what's possible. The only way to make a difference is to show up as your fullest, most authentic self, unapologetically striving for the things that matter to you. One of the most important steps in stopping the habit of playing small is setting bigger goals. Don't limit yourself to goals that feel comfortable or easy to achieve. Set goals that stretch you, challenge you, and push you outside of your comfort zone. These are the goals that will help you grow, learn, and reach your full potential. When you set big goals, you begin to tap into a deeper source of motivation and drive. You stop thinking about what you can do and start focusing on what you can. Each step you take toward those bigger goals helps you break free from the limitations you've placed on yourself. Along with setting bigger goals, take intentional action toward them. Every day, ask yourself what you can do to move closer to the life you want to create. This doesn't mean you need to take giant leaps every single day, but rather that you make consistent, intentional progress toward your larger vision. The more you take action, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable of achieving great things. You'll also begin to build momentum. which makes it easier to keep pushing forward even when things get tough. Stop playing small by surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. The people you spend the most time with have a powerful impact on your mindset and energy. If you're around individuals who are stuck in their own small thinking, it can be difficult to break from those patterns yourself. Seek out those who encourage you to dream big, who challenge you to reach for more, and who believe in your potential. A supportive community can make all the difference when it comes to overcoming fear and doubt and stepping into a larger version of yourself. Playing small is a choice. It's a choice to stay in the comfort zone, to avoid risks, and to let fear and doubt hold you back. But when you decide to stop playing small, you free yourself to dream bigger, act bolder, and achieve more than you ever thought possible. The only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. When you let go of need to play it safe and start taking bold steps toward your goals, you unlock a world of possibility and open yourself up to the extraordinary life you deserve. In the pursuit of success, there are certain habits and mindsets that can hold us back from reaching our full potential. By recognizing and addressing these limiting behaviors, we can begin to transform our approach to life and growth. Fear, perfectionism, and playing small are three key factors that often prevent us from stepping into the greatness we're capable of achieving. These behaviors are not obstacles that need to define our path. They are opportunities for growth. By choosing to face our fears, embrace imperfection, and stop playing small, we open ourselves to limitless possibilities. Success is not avoiding challenges or seeking perfection. It's about embracing the journey, learning from our mistakes, and daring to take bold actions. When we let go of the constraints that fear, perfectionism, and small thinking place on us, we unlock our true potential. The key to succeeding in any area of life is taking consistent action, pushing through discomfort, and believing in our own abilities to overcome obstacles. It's about stepping into the unknown, taking risks, and continuously evolving along the way. The path to success is not linear, nor is it without its hurdles. But the greatest achievements come when we stop holding ourselves back. When we stop letting fear define our decisions, abandon the unrealistic pursuit of perfection, and refuse to play small, we can achieve far more than we ever imagined. The world is full of opportunities, and all it takes is the courage to take the first step toward them.